Have you ever found yourself sitting quietly, staring out the window, wondering where the years have gone? One day you're running after kids, juggling jobs, errands, and energy, and the next, the world slows down. People change. Priorities shift, and the moments that once seemed small begin to feel sacred. Asterisk, as we get older, something special begins to happen. We start to see things more clearly. Life's noise settles, and what really matters rises to the surface. But here's the thing. Wisdom doesn't just come from growing old. It comes from paying attention. From reflecting on the joys, the losses, the mistakes. And yes, even the quiet moments in between. Asterisk, today. I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you, not just about growing older, but about growing stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled with each passing year. This isn't about regrets. It's about revelations, real, powerful lessons that older adults, maybe even you or someone you love, have discovered through decades of living. Asterisk, these lessons are like gold. And they don't just help us survive in old age, they help us thrive. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about 10 powerful truths from those who've walked the long road of life and found joy, meaning, and strength on the other side. Asterisk, let's start with the first one, and it might surprise you. Asterisk, so many elders will tell you this. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Asterisk, think about that for a second. How often have you told yourself, I'll do it later, when I feel better, when the time is right? The truth is, life doesn't hand us the perfect time wrapped up in a bow. Whether it's learning a new hobby, taking a trip, reaching out to an old friend, or even just dressing up for the day, the right time is usually now. Asterisk, one woman I met in her 80s said she always wanted to paint, but was too afraid she'd be bad at it. Then one day she picked up a brush and never put it down again. Her paintings now hang in her living room like trophies of courage. It wasn't about being good, it was about honoring a desire that had waited too long. Asterisk, waiting for perfection is how dreams die quietly. The elderly understand this better than anyone. And when they say, don't wait, it's not a cliche. It's a rescue rope pulling you back to the present. Asterisk, another lesson many seniors have shared is this. Forgive faster. Asterisk. This one can be hard, especially when you've carried hurt for years, maybe even decades. But holding on to resentment doesn't punish the person who wronged you. It punishes you. Asterisk, I once spoke with a gentleman in his late 70s who hadn't spoken to his brother in over 30 years. He said he couldn't even remember what started the argument. He just knew the silence had stretched so long, it felt impossible to break. One day, he decided to send a letter. Just a few words. No drama, no blame. I miss you. That was it. They talked the following week, and for the first time in decades, his heart felt light again. Asterisk, forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay, saying I refuse to carry this burden any longer. And the older we get, the more we realize peace is far more valuable than pride. Asterisk, and then there's this beautiful truth. I've heard time and time again, you are never too old to be kind, and kindness changes everything. Asterisk, kindness doesn't take strength in your muscles. It doesn't require a sharp memory or perfect health. It comes from the heart, and every single person, no matter their age, can offer it. Asterisk, there's a reason older people who volunteer, who smile at strangers, who make time for others, often seem the most joyful. Kindness connects you to life. Even if you live alone, even if your days feel quiet, there's power in reaching out, calling a neighbor, sending a thank you note, complimenting someone's shirt at the grocery store. Asterisk, kindness is a form of purpose. And purpose, even in small doses, can add color to a gray day. When we give love away, especially when we don't feel like it, we somehow receive it back tenfold. Asterisk. And while we're talking about things that feed the soul, here's another lesson that often comes with age. Happiness isn't found in things, it's found in moments. Asterisk, so many of us spend our younger years chasing bigger houses, newer cars, more stuff. But ask anyone in their 70s or 80s what they treasure most, and they'll rarely talk about things. They'll talk about a quiet morning with coffee on the porch, the way their child held their hand at the hospital, the sound of birds in the early light, a soft laugh shared in the middle of a hard day. Asterisk, one widow in her 90s told me she'd give away every gift she ever received, just to relive the moment she danced barefoot in the kitchen with her husband one last time. That image stayed with me because it reminds us life isn't made of trophies. It's made of tiny, sacred seconds. Asterisk, and the best part? We still have time to notice them, to collect them, to let them sink in. Asterisk, so as we begin this journey through the lessons of the elderly, these quiet, powerful truths, I hope one or two are already whispering to your heart. Asterisk, because when you stop waiting for perfect, when you forgive a little faster, when you spread kindness without expectation, and when you cherish the little things, your life begins to open up. Asterisk, you feel lighter, braver, more connected. Asterisk, and you start to understand something most people never realize until it's too late. Aging isn't the end. It's the beginning of seeing life with clearer eyes. Asterisk, now that we've begun to uncover these beautiful insights, let's keep going. It's more wisdom waiting to be shared, and I think you'll find the next one especially meaningful. Have you ever noticed how the simplest advice often holds the deepest wisdom? Sometimes it's just a soft-spoken sentence from someone who's lived through storms, heartbreaks, and quiet victories, and suddenly, everything makes sense. Asterisk, let's keep walking through these precious life lessons from those who've truly lived. Because every step we take, every story we hear, brings us closer to a life of peace, strength, and lasting joy. Asterisk, one of the most powerful truths the elderly often share is this: you don't have to win every argument. Choose peace over pride. Asterisk, it sounds simple, right? But how many times have we all tried to get the last word? Prove we're right. Protect our ego even in small conversations. The older you get, the more you realize most arguments are like storms in a teacup, loud for a moment, but meaningless in the grand picture of life. Asterisk, one grandmother told me she used to argue constantly with her sister about politics, parenting, you name it. Then, after a health scare, she said, I realized no argument is worth losing someone I love. Now she listens more. She smiles more. She lets things go. Asterisk, when you stop needing to be right, your relationships soften. Your home feels warmer. Your heart feels lighter. The elderly understand this not because they've always avoided conflict, but because they've lived through enough to know that peace is always more valuable than being correct. Asterisk, and speaking of peace, here's another lesson many seniors come to understand deeply. Your body is talking. Start listening. Asterisk, for decades, we push through pain. We ignore little signs. We think it's nothing or I'll deal with it later. But when you reach your 60s, 70s, and beyond, your body becomes less forgiving and far more honest. Asterisk, I remember a man in his late 70s who told me something profound. Said, my knee doesn't lie to me anymore. If I ignore, it punishes me. If I care for it, it thanks me. That made me smile because it's true. The body becomes a messenger, not a machine. Asterisk, and listening doesn't mean panicking. It means resting when you're tired, stretching gently in the morning, drinking more water than coffee, taking that short walk even when the couch calls, eating to nourish, not just to fill. Asterisk, the elderly who thrive, who still move with ease, and smile with energy often have one thing in common. They don't treat their body like an enemy. They treat it like a friend who needs attention, kindness, care. Asterisk, and while we're talking about health and daily habits, another lesson becomes clear with age. Routine is your secret weapon. Asterisk, as life slows down, it's easy to fall into long, empty hours. But the elders who remain sharp, content, and active often create structure even in small ways. A set time to wake up, a daily walk, a regular call with a friend. Afternoon, tea, a few minutes of light reading or puzzle solving. These small routines give rhythm to life. Asterisk, one lovely woman told me her day starts with three things. She makes her bed, opens the curtains, and waters her plants. It tells me, she said, that today still belongs to me. That moved me deeply, because routine isn't just about keeping busy. It's about giving yourself purpose. And purpose is what makes you feel alive. Asterisk, no matter how old we are, our minds crave movement. Our hearts crave structure. And the most resilient seniors build it gently into their day, not with stress, but with intention. Asterisk. Now, there's another beautiful truth that older generations often whisper with a smile. Laugh often. And don't take life so seriously. Asterisk it. Might sound like a cliche, but hear me out. As we age, we lose people. We face illness. We feel the weight of time. And yet the elders who live with sparkle in their eyes are often the ones who still find joy in the ordinary. Who still tell jokes, who laugh at themselves, who dance to music in their kitchen, even if no one's watching. Asterisk, I once met a retired teacher in her 80s who started learning stand-up comedy. Not because she wanted fame, but because she wanted to keep laughing. Laughter is medicine, she said, and I want to take a dose every day. What a beautiful way to live. Asterisk, laughter loosens the grip of fear. It lifts the fog of loneliness, and it invites people in. If you can still laugh, even through the wrinkles and worries, you've kept something young and pure inside you. Asterisk. And here's a lesson that ties so many of these truths together. Let go of what you can't control and focus on what you can. Asterisk, control is something we all cling to. Our schedule, our health, our children, our finances. But as the years go by, we learn, sometimes the hard way, that so much is out of our hands: the weather, other people's choices, the past, even parts of our own health. Asterisk, but what is in your control? Your attitude, your daily choices, your reactions, how you spend your time, what you focus on. Asterisk, one wise man in his 90s told me, when I stopped trying to fix everything outside of me, I finally had time to care for what's inside me. That shift made all the difference. Asterisk, he started praying again, writing in a journal, sitting in the garden, smiling more, worrying less. He wasn't giving up. He was choosing peace over anxiety. And that kind of peace can add years to your life and life to your years. Asterisk, when you let go of the things you can't change, if your hands are finally free to hold joy, growth, connection, and maybe even hope. Asterisk, so as we move through these heartfelt lessons, not as rules, but as gentle reminders, maybe one of them is speaking directly to you right now. Asterisk, maybe it's the reminder to loosen your grip on that old argument, or to listen to your aching shoulder instead of ignoring it. Maybe it's to wake up tomorrow with a little more intention and a little more laughter. Asterisk, whatever it is, hold it close. These lessons didn't come from textbooks. They came from the living, breathing stories of those who've stood where we stand, and who want us to walk the road ahead with more strength and more grace. Asterisk, now that we've listened to their hearts a little more, let's keep going, because the final lessons, the ones still ahead, might just be the most powerful of all. Asterisk. It's amazing, isn't it? How a few honest words from someone older, someone who's lived through seasons of love, loss, and learning can feel like a light switch being turned on in a dark room. Suddenly, you see things differently. You breathe a little deeper and you realize you're not too late. Not for anything that truly matters. Asterisk, let's keep going, because the final lessons, these last few treasures, have the power to open your heart and change the way you live every single day moving forward. Asterisk. Here's one that many elders share with a quiet but steady voice. Asterisk, let yourself be loved, even if you don't feel perfect. Asterisk, there's something that happens as we get older. We start to believe that we have to be useful to be lovable. That if our bodies don't work like they used to, or if we've made mistakes, or if we're no longer in the center of things, We're somehow less worthy of love. Asterisk, but that's simply not true. You are not loved because you're perfect. You are loved because you are you. Asterisk, one woman in her late 80s told me that for years. After her husband passed away, she felt invisible. She'd shrink into the background at family gatherings, not wanting to burden anyone. Then one day, her granddaughter pulled her aside and said, "Nana, I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to be here. You being you is enough." Asterisk, and it clicked. She stopped hiding. She smiled more. She let herself be hugged, seen, and loved again. Asterisk, it's a hard lesson for many, especially those who've spent their lives taking care of others. But as the years go on, one thing becomes crystal clear. You still matter. You always will. Asterisk, and with that understanding comes this beautiful next truth. Asterisk, you can start over at any age, especially with yourself. Asterisk, it doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond. You can always begin again. You can choose to let go of old bitterness. You can finally write that poem. Take up that hobby. Apologize. Say I love you. Move to a new place. Cut your hair. Change your routine. Learn something new. Asterisk, starting over doesn't mean erasing the past. It means believing in your future. Asterisk, one gentleman I met at a retirement center started learning how to play the guitar at 76. He laughed and said, "It only took me 76 years to figure out what brings me joy." And now he plays every morning. By his window, not for anyone else, but just for him. Asterisk, you don't need permission to begin again. Life is still happening. Right now. It's not too late to rediscover who you are becoming. Asterisk, and finally the most whispered lesson. The one that comes with the softest smile and the deepest eyes. Asterisk, time is your most precious gift. Spend it wisely. Asterisk, the elderly understand this in their bones. When you're young, time feels endless. But as the years pass, you start to see time for what it truly is. Not something to be wasted, but something to be cherished. Asterisk, and that doesn't mean filling every minute with tasks or trying to squeeze more productivity out of the day. It means being present, really being there for the moments that matter, sitting with someone in silence, watching the sunset without looking at your phone, laughing so hard your ribs hurt, taking a deep breath and simply saying, "I'm grateful for this." Asterisk, time spent worrying, comparing, or regretting is time we don't get back. But time spent loving, connecting, and growing, that's the time that lives forever in our hearts. Asterisk, so here we are. We've walked through 10 powerful, heartfelt lessons from those who have lived life with all its missinses and magic. Letting go of arguments and forgiving quickly to listening to our bodies. Finding strength in routine and choosing laughter over fear. Every single lesson is a reminder. Growing older is not a loss, it's a gift. A gift filled with clarity, with perspective, with quiet strength. And these lessons aren't just for seniors, they're for anyone willing to slow down, open up, and live more intentionally. Asterisk, if even one of these truths touched your heart today, I hope you carry it with you, not just for a moment, but as part of your life moving forward. Asterisk, remember, you don't have to be young to start over. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. And you don't have to do something big to make your life meaningful. Asterisk, it's in the small, honest choices, the ones you make each day, where strength, wisdom, and happiness are born. Asterisk, before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these lessons resonated the most with you? Have you learned something in your own life that you wish more people knew? Share it in the comments. Your wisdom might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Asterisk, and if this video brought you comfort, hope, or even just a little smile, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more we'll explore together. Stories, strategies, and truths to help you live your best life after 60. You deserve peace. And you deserve to keep growing no matter your age. Asterisk, here's to living with intention. Here's to choosing happiness, and most of all, here's to you.